What happens when a grieving father refuses to stay silent? When the death of his only son becomes a rallying cry against one of the most devastating health crises of our time? Welcome to the Poisoning Podcast. I'm joined by Jaime Puerta, activist, advocate, and founder of Victims of Illicit Drugs. After losing his son Daniel to a counterfeit pill laced with fentanyl, Jaime turned his unimaginable loss into action. He testified before Congress, has gone toe-to-toe with tech giants, and stood with families coast to coast who've had their lives shattered by the opioid epidemic. If you ever wondered what one voice can do in the face of a billion-dollar crisis, you're about to find out. Also, just a little housekeeping tip. I recorded this episode with Jaime a week or two ago before he was traveling, and we discussed the HALT Fentanyl Act. And just a few days ago, Jaime was at the White House when President Trump signed that piece of legislation. So enjoy the show. Jaime, thank you for joining us on the Poisoning Podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a true pleasure. Thank you.
Oh, no, it's my pleasure. And I'm so glad Ed Bish, friend of the show, former guest of the show, put us together. So this is just great. And it's been a few weeks in the making. So I want to start with your son, which is really how your story starts in this fentanyl crisis. You've said your son didn't know he was taking anything with fentanyl in it. Do you think there were policies that could have saved him and thousands of others from counterfeit-laced pills?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Daniel did have a problem. I'm not going to say that he didn't have a problem. He did. Once he went through. I mean, this kid was, he had great grades. He had perfect attendance, principal's award. He played football, but once sixth grade came around and puberty, something went off in his head and he just lost interest in school. He wasn't doing drugs or anything like that, but once 10th grade hit, he just got mixed in with the wrong crowd and he started experimenting with marijuana, and then it became a Xanax problem. I sent him to wilderness camp in Kanab, Utah, and luckily I recuperated. I got my kid back, and he was clean. And but once COVID-19 hit, he really got into a deep funk, and unfortunately he consumed an illicit counterfeit pill that had fentanyl in it, and he died. And once I was visited by our county sheriffs here in Santa Clarita, and I was told that what had killed my son was a counterfeit pill made of illicit fentanyl, and I had no idea what that was. I went online and had found that thousands upon thousands of other families had suffered the same unimaginable loss, and the first thing that came to mind was, well, how come I had never heard of this? And how is it that since 2016, basically, or 2015, thousands of other families had suffered the same unimaginable loss? And why hasn't our federal government even spoken about this? So I think that our government was actually failing us. So one of the first things that we did, when I contacted other families here in Los Angeles County who had also lost their children, one of the first things that we did is we had contacted our county sheriffs, like 5 county sheriffs in Southern California, and we went with our 8x10 pictures of our children who had passed away and sat across them in these conference tables and told them who our children were in life. And these county sheriffs, the heads of these county sheriffs, like Alex Villanueva at that time, they started forming an idea that, not fault of their own, but like these weren't just addicts, or this is a little different. These are like one-time, one-line type of accidental deaths, where these were children who were, yes, some of them had substance use disorder, but there were other ones like who were just trying drugs for the very, very first time and that were passing away doing it. And so we felt that due to the stigma of addiction and overdose that's so prevalent in our society, that law enforcement weren't investigating these deaths as drug-induced homicides because of it. So when they're placing the responsibility of the deaths on the feet of these dead children, these drug dealers were basically getting away with murder. And that's the way we look at it, is that when these drug dealers are selling these counterfeit illicit pills made nothing more of illicit fentanyl, a binder and filler, unbeknownst to the consumer, and they die, that's murder. And these drug dealers know it. They know that they're selling these counterfeit pills, passing them off as pharmaceutical grade Percocets or oxycodone pills or Xanax bars, Vicodins, and they know they're selling them this way, and they're telling them that they're pharmaceutical pills. Well, that's just murder. That's just wrong. So we decided that had to change, and that we had to really seriously come up with policies that confronted this crises, and that we need to change in our society. And it's been slow, but some changes have come about. Now we have 25 or 26 states that do have drug-induced homicide laws in the books, but we need a lot more. There's a lot more needs to be done.
Is Void, your organization, working in the other states to try to pass that legislation where they don't have it right now?
We, as a nonprofit, as a 501c, we are limited in what we can do, right? So
Sure.
only 20% of our advocacy can only go towards legislative action. 80% of it is mostly geared. All of it, well, 80% of our time is more towards education and awareness. We travel across the nation with our documentary called Dead on Arrival that could be found on our website at stopthevoid.org. We go to junior high schools and high schools free of charge, no charge at all. There are other organizations that I won't mention. I think you know who I'm talking about. They'll charge $50,000 to school boards to enact these fentanyl education curriculum, and we don't charge anything. They can go to our website. We are now have this curriculum that we're about to launch, and they can go there, watch the documentary, and it's only 22 minutes long. We showed this documentary to junior high and high school students. They watched the documentary, I'm sorry, and we show them the dangers of recreational drug use, because most of these children don't know what they're getting themselves into.
Right.
A lot of it has to do with peer pressure, where they want to belong to a clique. They want to be cool. They don't understand what it means to consume these pills. A lot of emotional trauma due to social media, a lot of physical trauma. And then 20% of our time is focused on legislative action, like, for example, the Halt Fentanyl Act that we've been very, very active on. I testified on February 4th in front of the Senate Judiciary Committee on the Halt Fentanyl Act, and we're pushing that very hard. Thankfully, it passed, and it's now sitting on President Trump's desk waiting for his signature. I'm very proud of that.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
So something you brought up was you didn't even know what fentanyl was as a parent. And the DEA put out an alert earlier, I want to say late winter, early spring, for the Houston area, Houston, Texas, about nitazines being in the drug supply. And nitazines are a synthetic opioid. They can be up to 40 times stronger than fentanyl. So it's like the stronger cousin of fentanyl. And we here in the Eastern Panhandle of West Virginia this year have seen an uptick in overdose deaths due to nitazines. And I ran into one of my state legislators just this morning at the farmer's market, and she had no idea. Like, I don't think our government, even news, is getting the word. There was like one story right before Memorial Day on it. here. And so I'm thinking to myself, how many people, how many parents with their college kids home, high school kids off for the summer know that this is even out there? And if it's in Houston, and if it's in the eastern panhandle of little old West Virginia, where else is it?
It's probably everywhere. And one of the things about the Hall Fentanyl Act that I love is that
Hmm.
finally, drug dealers, what they were doing is if you tweak the chemical composition of illicit fentanyl, if you tweak the composition and it didn't fall under a Schedule 1 or a Schedule 2 drug, they couldn't charge the trafficker with any kind of they couldn't charge them because it wasn't a scheduled drug. With the Hall Fentanyl Act, now they can be charged, right? And if they have 100 grams or more, now they have to do a minimum 10-year mandatory sentence. They're getting very, very creative with this stuff. And unfortunately, in our
Sure.
society, again, due to the stigma of addiction and overdose, it's very difficult for us to get into these high schools and colleges. They don't
Yeah.
want to talk about it because they don't want to scare parents. They don't want to admit that there's a problem in our schools. And what
Yes.
people must understand is that we need to break this barrier, and we need to talk about this openly. When COVID-19 hit, everybody knew that we had to wash our hands. Everybody knew that we had to stay 6 feet away from each other. Everybody knew that we had to put a mask on over our face. Why isn't the federal government openly talking about this? And why aren't we having PSAs everywhere?
Right.
Why aren't we seeing this on college campuses? Why aren't we just openly talking about this? Because quite frankly, this is a national security crisis. When you think about how this has affected our society, and yes, drug deaths have decreased quite significantly in 2024, and the interdiction in 2025 is basically half right now, but that's only because um, uh, the warring factions in the Sinaloa cartel on the other side are killing each other over there, which has drastically reduced the drug supply coming over the borders. Also, the illegal immigration has drastically stopped coming over the border, but that's not the reason why. It's just that there are more border agents now at the legal ports of entry being able to scrutinize this stuff coming through. So that's why. But um, we need to really just talk about this and openly and not be afraid of it. It's like, remember when we had the AIDS campaign,
Right.
when we broke the stigma of AIDS and everybody was talking about it. That's how we really need to confront this crisis as well. We need to talk about the nitazines. We need to talk about the illicit fentanyls. And
I
when you
will
see,
say, though, I want to interrupt and say I do think the drop in overdose deaths is also because of naloxone
oh,
being more
absolutely,
readily available.
absolutely,
Um, I do think the bad guys are always we will never keep every illicit drug out of this country.
absolutely.
Nothing is perfect. It's impossible. We need to make sure that people have access to harm reduction materials, especially naloxone, so
I agree.
that when someone makes, you know, a mistake, they may have a second chance.
I agree wholeheartedly. Naloxone has been a huge tool. I mean, it's a lifesaver. I think the CDC had come out with a stat, and maybe it was for the 2023 numbers,
Yeah.
where they had come up with the number of 120,000 deaths I'm sorry, no, 120,000 lives saved in the emergency rooms
Yeah.
due to naloxone. Imagine that, 120,000 lives saved
Yeah.
due to naloxone. Had it not been for naloxone, 120,000 people more would have died. We don't even have the numbers of how many lives were saved due to our emergency services out in the
Right.
streets.
On the
Imagine
street.
that. So, you're absolutely right, and I'm not going. I'm all for naloxone all day,
I
every
think
day.
it's a variety of reasons
Yes.
that things are
Yeah.
dropping. And I hope they continue to, but as I said, we've seen an uptick in the 3 county area I live in now, because I think the bad guys are always going to be changing their ways, and it's just hard. We've never really won the war on drugs, ever. I hope we
We've
one day will, but I don't think as a country we have.
You have to ask yourself though, why only in the United States?
Right.
Why has only North America been targeted with illicit fentanyl? Why has this
Mm.
why has this only affected North America? Why only the United States and Canada has this really affected? Why has this scourge really not taken as many lives like in South America or in Europe, for example? You know, I mean,
Well, yeah.
seriously.
Uh,
That's a question that begs to be asked. And if you look, I'm not a conspiracy theorist or anything
yeah,
like that, but look at the bipartisan report on the China Select Committee of April of
sure.
2024. Just read that, for example, of their conclusions on the China Select Committee of April 2024 on the fentanyl crisis. Read that, for example. That's an eye-opening experience. But you're absolutely right. There's been lots of things that really helped. The other factor, too, is the DEA came out with the new report, too, that now instead of 7 out of 10 pills were potentially lethal, that dropped down to 5 out of 10 pills are now potentially lethal, which is
It's good.
good.
It's very
So
good.
there have been lots of things. It's not, and you're absolutely right. I don't know if we're ever going to win the drug war. We probably aren't. Um, but the drop in deaths is a good thing, right?
Oh,
But
it's a great thing.
it's a great thing. But I think that education begins at home. It definitely begins at home.
Oh, yeah. So, 110%. And now when we like see friends, and like last night, we went out with a couple that I had known him through work, but we had never met in person. And I brought them a gift because they have two college girls of naloxone. And of course they didn't have it.
But what did they think about that? Oh, this could.
Well, they're like, well, I was there. They were like, do we keep it or do we give it to our girls?
And
I was
see,
like,
and here's the thing here's the thing is that most, um, I don't know, and I hate to say this like this, but most people, white suburbia probably thinks, well, this could never happen to me because,
oh, totally.
yeah, this could never happen to me because there's nobody in my family who's using drugs on a recreational basis, or there's nobody in my family who's addicted to drugs. What they fail to understand is that this can happen to anybody. This is not like the drug crises of the 90s where methamphetamine was just targeting African Americans and the Hispanic community. You know what I mean? This is not that crisis. This is this is affecting every single segment of society. This is a drug that has wiped out everybody. This does not discriminate. It doesn't care if you're rich. It doesn't care if you're poor. This doesn't care if you're going to Yale, Harvard school. This doesn't care if you're in community college. This is taking everybody. And we know for a fact that there's a shortage of Adderall.
Yes.
And we know for a fact that there's college students who are cramming for exams, and there's a vast supply of fake counterfeit Adderalls going around at these campuses, and there's college students dying due to these counterfeit Adderalls that we're not even hearing about because these universities are not talking about it because they don't want parents or they don't want anybody to know about it because they don't want the alarm to go out because it's going to hurt their college. They don't want parents to know about this because they don't want people to know, and they don't want the rumor to go out there that, hey, we got a drug problem on our campus. Sorry.
And the
Sorry.
families feel there are not enough families publicly talking about the loss because
Exactly.
they feel the
Exactly.
shame that our society puts on them.
Exactly. And then
Uh,
here's the other thing too I want to talk about is like,
yeah.
the laws that we would like passed.
Yeah.
I
Please tell us.
I I'm not advocating for laws that are going after people who are suffering from substance use. I think that those people who are suffering from substance use need help.
Yes.
Nobody graduates from high school or from college saying, when I graduate from high school or when I graduate from college, I want to become a drug addict. That's my goal in life. I want to become a drug addict. That is not their intent. We need to help those people. And we need a system in the United States that does not punish them. We need a system in the United States that gets them the help they need because that child has a beating heart as well. That person is somebody's child and they need help. What we need to do, though, is we need to go after those traffickers who knowingly are selling this poison, right? And is
Hmm.
perpetuating the death in the United States. I'm talking about the traffickers who are selling this stuff. I'm not wanting to go after this. There has to be some kind of drug diversion program for these people who are falling into addiction. You know, that's why I was kind of surprised with the Halt Fentanyl Act that I had people coming after me, guns blazing. That, oh, you're going after the people who are addicted to drugs. They go, no, we're not. This isn't, and then I had people coming after me. Oh, you just want to incarcerate African Americans and Hispanic and minorities. Every day that I get up and I go and I look in the mirror, I see a Colombian American. I'm Hispanic myself. And if you're out there selling this counterfeit pills, these poisons to people of your own community, knowingly, you need to go to prison. I'm sorry. You need to take responsibility for your actions. You need to go to prison. Period. Okay? Because you're perpetuating death in your own communities. All right? That's all I'm saying about that. But we need a drug diversion program for these people. I just had to get that out. I'm sorry.
No, we do. So is that your next project?
Yes.
Because we're failing on that as a
Yes.
federal government and even state government, is not like I was just talking to someone in Vermont who's coming on the podcast. They get 2 weeks in recovery, like 14 days.
In California, it's 30 days. And private insurance, you will see the commercials here, like for like I won't mention it, but for very wealthy people in Malibu, okay,
You're right.
seafront on the coast, $30,000, $50,000, $75,000 a month. Okay. I know because I know this and I have the telephone number of these places in Tijuana, Mexico. $1,500, $2,000 a month. But people are sending their children there, which is a lot more accessible at
Sure.
$2,000 a month, where people will send their kids down there for a year, and it's very successful. Very
Oh, really?
successful
So you
programs.
you trust this?
Oh yeah, I
Okay.
do trust it. I have a friend actually. I'm a Marine Corps veteran, and I'm in uh, a, a writing club with a
Okay.
bunch of other Marine Corps veterans and active duty Marines. That on weekends, when I'm not advocating or working, I ride with them from California. And I have one of my brothers who lives out here in California. His son, addicted to methamphetamine, um,
Mhm.
23 years old. He was tearing his hair out. He didn't know what to do with him. California rehab just too expensive for him. He found a place in Mexico, and he took him down there. And his son now has been clean for 3.5 years. His son is now a functioning member of society. Just got married. Is a lineman making $150,000 a year. Just bought his own house. His son was in rehab for a year, and not only he was not only doing meth, but he was doing fentanyl as well.
Mm,
and he was
right.
paying $2,000 a month for this rehab in Tijuana, Mexico, and he's doing great. So
Well, you'll
I
have to
went.
share the information on this rehab.
I
I'd
could
love to
do
look into it.
I
Yeah.
could do it privately. Yes, I
Okay,
can do
yeah.
it private. I can do that
Perfect.
privately. But
Yeah.
yes, you're absolutely right. I have other people. I mean, here in California, they will sign people up for Medi-Cal, but
Mm-hmm.
it's only a 30-day stint, and 30 days is not enough. It's just not
No.
enough. It's not enough. Virginia, like you said, it's only 2 weeks. Every state is different, but it's not enough. If you're addicted to methamphetamine or fentanyl, 2 weeks or 1 month is just not enough. You need, from what I understand, it's 6 months to a year, because not only are you dealing with the emotional trauma that comes with it, but it's the physical addiction as well. And there's also medically assisted treatment as well. I know of a
Sure.
doctor in San Diego. I absolutely love him, and I was at a conference 3 years ago, where he explained what he does. I could give you his information as well privately. He
Mm-hmm.
does wonderful work in San Diego, and his treatment's about $250 a month. Wonderful treatment, medical assisted treatment in San Diego. I can share you. You should have him on your podcast as well,
I
by
would
the
love
way.
to.
I
I
would
would
love to
love
give you
to.
his information. Yeah, I'll give you his information privately as well. Yeah.
So America then is failing at recovery, which is a big
Yes.
part of this too.
Yes.
Because if you can't get decent recovery, you're just going to relapse. And instead
Yes.
of people thinking, well, the recovery options aren't there, the medical help isn't there,
Yes.
the stigma makes them say, well, they just failed. They just didn't want it enough. But we have to change as a country in giving better recovery services.
I'm a Marine Corps veteran, and I was of the mindset that you could just pick yourself up by your bootstraps, and you could just kick. You're a loser. You're a dredge on society. You know. But since I've been on this advocacy, since my son died, my mindset has changed so radically. When I look at somebody in the street suffering from addiction, I almost begin to cry.
So
I look at them with compassion, with empathy, and with love. And I just want to help that person. I was in Santa Barbara with my wife, and I'm just thinking about it, and it almost brings me to tears. I saw this young man. He couldn't have been older than 15, 16 years old, and he looks so much like my son. And I go, that is somebody's son. And I just wanted to help him out so much. Myself and Steve Filson, my other board member at Boyd, that was our next step. We're thinking about, and I'm glad you brought that up. We're looking at now on how we can do that. We're looking at wanting to open up our own center for something different. We're looking at a model, and I think you should have them on your podcast too. You need to speak to Michael Cole. You may want to write down their name. They have a place in West Virginia. They lost Lauren Cole. They bought an abandoned. I don't know if you ever heard of Lauren's Wish. I need to put you in contact with them.
Yes, I've definitely heard of them.
Yeah, they have something very, very different, and it's been very wildly successful. I'm going to call him, and myself and Steve Filson, when I get back from Colombia, we're going to jump on a plane after the official National Fentanyl Prevention Awareness Day that we're doing on August 21st in Times Square. I hope you can go. I'd love to see you there in Washington, D.C. I'm sorry, New York, Times Square. We'd love
It's
to
New
see you
York,
there.
right? Okay.
Yes. Yeah, we'll be there. We have Times Square to ourselves. Well, there'll be a lot of people there. It's a huge event. It's huge.
Sure.
We're probably going to fly down to West Virginia and see what he does there. From what I understand, it's an emergency type of services that he has. It's very different than all the rest, and has been widely successful. We want to go look at his model, and it's something that we want to do here in Southern California as well. So that's something that we're looking at. because we want to get in that area. That's something that is so needed here, and we started already having conversations with some of the counties. So we're going to see, yeah, but this is something that we want to get into. That's our next step, most definitely. Yes.
Great. So, since you brought up the official August 21st National Fentanyl Awareness Day, how do folks find out more about the event? Can they just show up? Tell us a little bit about it.
I was called by my dear friend Andrea Thomas in February of 2022, and she told me about her project. She was trying to talk me into it, and about 1 minute and 30 seconds into the conversation, I just told her to stop and just say no more, count me in. She named me co-chair, and we've been at it ever since. It's a day very different than the other fentanyl awareness day, in the sense that uh, our day is a day where all the other organizations made up of bereaved parents, in other words, organizations made up of bereaved parents, like, Void, Victims of Illicit Drugs, uh, Jim Ross Foundation families, I forgot his names, or Appalled, for example, or Jim Bish, for example. There's so many. I mean, uh, fentanyl
So, you're
fathers.
saying the families, the small
Correct.
groups run by families who've lost
Yes,
someone to fentanyl.
will be there. They will be there. This is not corporations. There are some corporations, of course, but these are small nonprofits that come under the umbrella of FacingFentanylNow.org or Project Facing Fentanyl. All of these families come together on this one day to Times Square, where we have the Times Square billboards, and we project the pictures in like Daniel right here,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
like that in blue. We project them on the giant billboards where we have DEA New York speak, and we have other notables. We have some special speakers this year who I can't talk about right now,
It's all right.
but they're very high up in government. Will be there. We'll be at St. Patrick's Cathedral as well.
Good.
Yeah, we partner with the Black Poster Projects. They're going to be there as well. We have some very beautiful things happening this year, which I really can't get into because they're surprising events. But it's mostly made up of bereaved families. And then I'm going to avoid, I'll let this out. It just breaks my heart, but we are sponsoring one family in particular.
Mm.
Um, and I hope I don't get emotional, but Marcy and Miguel Castro, who lost their 10-year-old boy, Nathaniel Castro, in in December of 2024. Unbeknownst to them, I believe it was Marcy Castro's brother had a girlfriend who was had suffering from substance use disorder, and somehow their 10-year-old boy got into her drug supply or stash in her purse. I don't know how it happened, and unfortunately, her 10-year-old son died.
Mm.
And she is starting a foundation, and it's called Nathaniel's Light. And we are sponsoring them this year. We're bringing them to with us to New York, and we're helping them get their foundation off the ground. Void is sponsoring them. We're bringing them to New York. We want to help them. We want to encourage them. We just want to shower them with love. We want them to be around with other families who are going under, who have suffered the same unimaginable loss. We want them to feel the love, and we just want to help them as much as possible. And so they'll be there with us as well, and we just want to help them out as much as possible. So they'll be there with us as well, and we just want to help people. That's all we want to do. We just want to help out as many people
Sure.
as we want, and that's what Boyd has been around for. Boyd, Victims of Illicit Drugs, is What we said since the very beginning is our mission has been, just trying to educate and prevent as many deaths as possible, and try to help out as many people as we can. We leave our egos at the door. We do what we can to help as many people as we can, and we're now opening a new ventures as we're getting into a new area that is completely foreign to us, but I just feel like our children in heaven are opening up these doors that, we, it's not us, it's our children that open these doors to us magically. And, we've done everything. There's so many things that we have done: documentaries, impact meetings at the FBI, DEA Special Operations Units, Customs and Border Protection, all of the federal law enforcement agencies. We've been there. We've done these impact meetings there. Schools, colleges. I can go on and on and on. We've done it all. We've been in the halls of Congress. We've been at the Senate. We've been at the White House. We have done it all. And we're very proud of that. But we don't pat ourselves on the back. And like I said, we leave our egos at the door. And we're going to continue doing what we do. But we do it with love in our heart. And we do it because it's what our heart tells us to do. And we feel that we have to continue doing it because our children ask us to do. I would rather not have to do this. I would rather have my child here. It's
Right.
it's 5 years without my boy, and I would rather just live a quiet life with my son and have those trips to Colombia, South America, and watch him eat his Colombian food and his chicharron and all that stuff, and just go to the rivers and watch him go horseback riding and have fun. But I
It's hard. I can't imagine. I can't imagine. So I've had Paul Solotaroff as a
no,
guest of the
I love
show.
him. Love
Isn't
him.
he the best? He's
Oh,
great. So we're
love
gonna
him.
segment to big tech and social media companies and how you're trying to hold them accountable for their role in this.
Yes, we've been blessed in the sense that in 1996, our legislators wrote uh, the Communications Decency Act. All right, Section 230C at the
Yep.
second, the Communications Decency Act, in which what they were trying to do is they were just trying to protect free speech, right?
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, our courts have, I think, in my own opinion, have misinterpreted what actual free speech is. And in my own opinion, and I think parents would agree with me, I think that when a grown 42-year-old man is sending pictures of his private parts to an 11-year-old girl, I feel that's not free speech. A when a young 15, 16-year-old girl feels that she's a little overweight and goes on YouTube and uh, wants to go on a diet and writes in diet, and then YouTube is giving her suggestions on what that diet is, and then the algorithms get a little bit more intense each time,
Yeah.
and she follows that diet, and all of a sudden that diet gets worse and worse and worse, and all of a sudden you have an anorexic 15-year-old and dies, or you have a kid who is bullied to death, or you have a kid who thinks he's talking to the high school cheerleader when in fact is talking to a grown man in Nigeria who's all of a sudden extorting him for $3,000. Otherwise, he's going to publish naked pictures of him throughout his high school, or says he's going to do that. That kid doesn't know, and that it's really an extortionist, and then takes his own life because he doesn't know, or is selling him a counterfeit pill made of fentanyl and kills him. through an app like Snapchat, that's not free speech. That's death. And so myself and Amy Neville and four other parents, at first with Carrie Goldberg, a wonderful her, and Naomi Lees out of New York. At first, we filed a lawsuit against Snapchat, and then that lawsuit was then then Carrie Goldberg reached out to the Social Media Victims Law Center out of Washington, D.C. They joined with that as attorneys, and they went in front of Judge Lawrence Riff out of the Fifth Superior Court, filed that lawsuit, and Snapchat did the same argument that I'm sorry that you guys can't sue because that's free speech. Well, yeah. Judge Riff decided no. Well, our attorneys were saying no, that we're not arguing that's free speech. What we're doing is we're arguing that you have a problem with the design of your app. We're arguing product design, not free speech. Judge Riff decided that, yeah, that's right. It's not free speech. It's design product. So the product design. So he decided for that. He allowed for our lawsuit to go forward, which was a huge win because before we couldn't even get our feet on the steps of the courthouse. In fact, many people had brought up lawsuits time and again. Carrie Goldberg, I forgot what the name of the plaintiff was. She had argued before, and in fact, her case had gone all the way to the Supreme Court. Oh, I forgot what her client was, but it was a gentleman from San Francisco. Is a gay gentleman from San Francisco who had a boyfriend, and he broke up with his boyfriend, and his boyfriend got very angry and set up a fake profile on Grindr, put some pictures up there, and the fake profile said, and what his fantasy was is that he wanted to be gang raped or something like that, and published that and put where his address was, his home address and his work address, and all of a sudden he had men showing up at his apartment and at his work. And this gentleman called Grindr and had get my profile. I didn't set this up, and Grindr said no, we're not taking that off. And they, excuse me, they wouldn't do that. And this case went all the way up to the Supreme Court, and they couldn't do anything about it. And Clarence Thomas actually said, "I'm sorry, we can't do anything about it. This is free speech." But Clarence Thomas actually said, "I wish Congress would do something about it, because this is hideous. This is ridiculous. The Congress needs to do something." So, anyways, our case is allowed to go forward. So right now, our case is basically, it's being argued how it's going to go forward. They're collecting evidence, and what the beautiful thing about this is that now our attorneys are able to look under the covers, and they're able to see exactly all the ongoings of Snapchat. They keep, they continue to say that they're a safe platform, but I can tell you firsthand that it is the worst company. It's the worst platform, or it's the worst social media platform that any parent can allow their children to have. I don't care. They are the worst. If you are a parent, you are negligent. I'm sorry, if you allow your child to have Snapchat on that phone, I am terribly sorry. But if you knew what I know, you would be, I mean, I can't say it on this podcast, but I just wish I could go across the screen and slap you across the face and just wake you up and tell you all of the nefarious activity that's happening. I can't tell you how many parents here from Santa Clarita, sending me messages telling me, "Oh my God, this man sent pictures of his private parts to my daughter. Oh my God, my child bought." Well, two kids from here who died due to fentanyl
Yeah.
poisoning, who met the drug dealers at the mall here at Westfield, Valencia, because they met the drug dealer through Snapchat. Right here in Valencia, okay?
Yeah.
And Chris Didier, his son, Zachary Didier, met his drug dealer at the Rockland Mall, okay, through Snapchat. And they're capturing 92% of all the harmful content on there. That's a bunch of bull. It's a bunch of baloney, okay? And, and then the nonprofits, like, for example, and I'm going to say it, I don't care, like Song for Charlie, who say that, that work with them and that they've become very, that's a great platform and that they're harmless or this or that. Forget about it. I don't care. And all of the governmental agencies that are buying that this April 29th day that just passed, that the fentanyl awareness day that they're doing and they're buying into this. I'm sorry. I went off on that tangent, but
Oh, it's okay.
Snapchat co-founded the April 29th Fentanyl Awareness Day to whitewash their image. And nobody knows that. Nobody knows that. There's a reason why Kadka, okay?
Mhm.
There's a reason why Kadka uh, uh, took Snapchat off of their largest donors and took their logo off of their largest donors list and they just took them off and rescinded their humanitarian of the year award for Even Spiegel and Snapchat. Okay. I believe in 2023 or 2024. There's a reason for that. And most government agencies don't know this. And I hope the government agencies that watch this podcast understand that Snapchat is the most nefarious activity, is the most nefarious social media app out there. Just ask Senator Josh Hawley. Ask Senator Chuck Grassley. They sent a letter to Snapchat and they were supposed to respond to that letter, I believe, by May 28th. And I don't know if they responded to that letter or not. And I have to follow up on that letter to see if they responded to it. And I'm sorry if I'm off on a tangent right now,
No.
but please understand that they are the co-founder of that
Mhm.
other Fentanyl Awareness Day in an effort to
Right.
whitewash their image, okay? And they did a really good job at it. And understand that all of these government agencies are out there putting their logos on that Fentanyl Awareness Day, not understanding that Snapchat co-founded that day, and they have to stop that because they're just a party of whitewashing their image. So the next year when they want to be a party to that, understand that they're just complicit with that nefarious app. They're complicit with that and they have to stop. I don't know how else to explain that, but it's disgusting. They're complicit. Their hands are complicit in the deaths of all of these children if they continue to sponsor this day, I guess, for a lack of better words.
Yeah, corporate money is
Corporate money,
big,
thank you.
is very
Yes.
big, and you know, money moves things. When I had Paul on the podcast, and I do my daytime job is working with state attorneys general. I work with a few. When Paul came on the podcast, and I had just launched it, I think he might have been episode 3 or 4. One of the outside lobbyists reached out to me. Oh, Erin, and I just let Paul tell the story he's written for Rolling Stone and other publications. Um, I had someone reach out to me on LinkedIn, Erin, please, if you want some other information on and I was just like, I'm fine. I don't need to,
Wow, it
I'm
doesn't
more,
surprise me.
wouldn't surprise me. Well, I would say that if you look some of these um, state attorney generals, it is both sides of the aisle that are taking these large tech / social media companies to task. It is not a partisan issue. When you're seeing someone from a rural red state partnering with someone from a blue coastal state, you go, maybe there's something there. They don't agree on a lot, but they can agree on this.
You know what, Erin? I've when we started Void,
Mm-hmm.
one of the reasons why we've been so successful is that we've never painted ourselves in the right corner or the left corner. We've always gone down. We've always gone down, right down the middle. And
That's
one of
smart.
the things that we've always told ourselves is that we're always going to stand on a foundation of principle, not on a foundation of hypocrisy. And I believe that I cannot be a hypocrite, and I have to say things of how I feel. And if I say things how I feel, if I feel that something is going to get me in trouble, like if my words are going, like what
Mm-hmm.
I just said about what I said about Snapchat, or how they're whitewashing their image, or what I talked about that other foundation of a bereaved dad, like Song for Charlie, and how they partnered with Snapchat in coming up with this fentanyl awareness day. I'm not against Song for Charlie, by the way. I'm not against him. I'm not against his foundation. He's a bereaved dad at the end of the day, and his own son Charlie died.
Yeah.
And I believe he's doing wonderful work. I really do. What I am against is Snapchat co-founding that day. That is what I am against. I think it's despicable that they are doing that. And I think it's despicable that they're trying to whitewash their image. And I think it's despicable that there are actually governmental agencies that back or that support that day, and that we have Google and Meta and all of these other tech companies paying money to support that day. I
Yeah.
don't care. And the DEA and everybody else jumping on that day as well. Does it get me in trouble with those government agencies? If it does, I don't care. I really don't. Because at the end of the day, I'm going to do what is right. I have to do what's right. And, and I mean, what are we going to do, Erin? I mean, seriously,
It's
what
hard.
are we going to do? Like, are you going to stop doing your podcast, or because if a lobbyist tells you, Erin, maybe you shouldn't say that, or Erin, maybe you shouldn't
No,
do
they didn't
this?
say that, but they were like, let me know if you need more information. And I'm pretty well informed
Oh, I know
just
you are.
because of
Believe
my
me,
day job
Erin.
on
I
things
know.
that are happening.
I,
So and it's more that, you know, my clients do what they want to do. Um, this project is independent of it, but most of them give me great feedback and enjoy it and read it, and listen. So, it is what it is. I don't think it was intimidation. It was like, oh no, there's someone else in the state AG space that may not agree with how we operate. Or that I was just giving Paul a platform and now I'm giving you a platform. But I think you have to talk with a lot of people to hear their experiences and what they've gone through and to get ideas, because it's the only way we're going to solve and this crisis. Well, I don't know that we'll ever completely solve the crisis, but to make it better and to help other people avoid the hurt and the loss that folks like you have encountered. And I want to go back to like just social media and tech companies and the draw on children. We are currently in my household on a screen-free summer for our children. We actually have a TV with old school cable. I know most people cut the cord a while ago. We have that, but there's no video games, which, people can connect with them through, right? Because it's on the Wi-Fi. There's no phones where they can get on browsers or any social media. And our oldest, who is just 14, he's not that old. this started because his grades were not where they needed to be, and it was not for that he was having academic issues. He just was not applying himself. He would then, out of just desire, he went through old work boxes I had in the garage and found like an iPhone 8, an iPhone, maybe 7, and connected it to the Wi-Fi. So that yes, no, he dug through, like, but I mean, this was the
It doesn't
addiction
surprise.
they
It
can't
doesn't surprise
control.
me.
He's a 14-year-old developing brain,
Doesn't
and he was
surprise
so
me.
scared when we caught him with it. He was on our deck, and I was like, why is he so easy these last few days? Because sometimes 14 is not an easy age. He threw it over the deck, the phone over the, not that I need it was sitting in a box for years.
I
Then we
took my
had to
son's phone
lock
away.
all
Yeah.
our computers with like a fingerprint, and they lock after a minute, because then we found him
Yeah.
trying to get on our computers to get on. I mean, this is the draw of a
Yeah.
developing brain. Like they
Yes.
just get sucked into it. So
Yes.
my thought is they can't handle these things.
I
Don't
think
know. They
no.
don't know enough. And they, we live, you we one of the problems of our addiction in America is we don't have sense of community anymore because we're all on our phone.
I agree. 100%.
So we're just like, we got a lot going on this summer.
Not only that,
We
but
have screen-free summer.
Erin, look how divided we are.
Oh, yeah. We're a tribalistic. I mean, I saw something beautiful at a conference where one Republican state attorney general and one Democrat, like the Democrat came behind him and like put his arm around, and they did. And I don't think they agree on much, honestly, ideologically, but they weren't going to not let them have a human relationship,
Right.
which is very rare. I mean,
Right.
you see people are trying to kill elected
Yeah.
officials.
Yeah.
I mean, the poor folks in Minnesota,
Yeah.
unbelievable. I mean, most
Unbelievable.
people don't even know who their state rep or state senator is.
I agree.
And so it's like, take a break. And I'm an extrovert, and boy, it affected me in COVID. I
Yes.
love being around people. So like the phone is nice. I get some enjoyment on my phone, but I can't have that replace people for me.
Right.
But not everybody, especially young people, can't understand what their psychological and mental needs are, or when they're crossed.
And it's very hard for somebody, especially on my age. Like, how do you put that cat back in the bag? I mean, it's nearly
Sure.
impossible because we live in very different times, right? And then
Yes.
what is a replacement for that? Especially with society's pressure. It's like I remember trying to keep that phone away from him as long as I could, and then
Right.
his biological mom caved in and got him a phone when he was in fifth grade, I believe, or sixth
Yeah.
grade. No, fifth grade. And I'm not blaming her, by the way, but I mean, she caved,
Just
and
happens. It
yeah,
happens.
it happened. But and then most people, you think it's just, well, old fogey like myself, you think, okay, it's just a phone, not even realizing that they're so tech savvy, and one that's not tech savvy, they know everything that's on there, and one doesn't know. I mean, like, I had no idea what the hell Snapchat was. I didn't know what Snapchat was, or Instagram, and anything like that. They don't, like, these kids, they don't have Facebook, but they have Snapchat, they have
Yeah.
Instagram, but for old folks like us, we're on Facebook all the time, and they're on Snapchat all the time, right? I mean, and as far as the phone goes, I took his phone away, and
It's hard.
and then I figured out how to block him from the home Wi-Fi, and then somehow he got an old phone from a friend, and he hacked my neighbor's Wi-Fi somehow.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No
He
doubt.
hacked my neighbor's Wi-Fi. I
No
go, how
doubt.
the hell did you do that? But the kid was a computer whiz. I mean, he wanted to become a software engineer. That's what he was striving for. Um, I have a picture somewhere where at school they said, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And he said, "Software engineer." I think I have it in the living room. But yeah, so bad. It's just so unfortunate. But
Yeah.
anyways,
Hmm.
uh,
Well,
uh,
I want to bring up one last topic with you. I
yes, ma'am.
believe I read a piece where you were advocating for stronger naloxone. Does that sound right?
Well, uh,
Like a
so
higher
there.
dosage.
Well, yeah, there are. Okay, so according to studies, when you use the disbursement of naloxone in the nasal cavity, according to studies, that only 50% of the naloxone agent is actually absorbed by the nasal cavity. 50%. So
Correct.
the the brand Narcan,
Yes.
you have 4 milligrams. So actually,
Yes.
only 2 milligrams is actually absorbed, which is why law enforcement and EMTs have to use so much to bring somebody back, right? So before Hikma Pharmaceuticals, that's why the Hikma Pharmaceuticals has a brand called Cloxado, and
Yes.
Cloxado
It's 8.
has correct. Cloxado has a brand of naloxone that has 8 milligrams of naloxone, but Hickman was bought by Emergent, and Emergent is also has
Narcan.
Narcan. So now they have both Narcan and Cloxado. Cloxado has 8 milligrams of 8 milligrams of naloxone. There's another brand which is by U.S. World Meds that's called Zimhai,
Yeah.
and this
Yeah. I have one. I have it in the next room, believe it or not.
yeah, this is just a
Yeah.
trainer. Yeah,
It's the
which is
EpiPen
it's
of
yes,
naloxone. Yeah.
it's an EpiPen, goes straight into the thigh, and it's 5 milligrams. So there are many different kinds now. And where are my notes? I don't have my notes with me, but I had a meeting with the
That's all right.
gentleman the other day where there's a new product that is not naloxone. It's a different chemical composure that actually reverses not only synthetic opioids, but would actually work for nitazines as well.
Wow.
Yeah, but I don't have my notes
That's
with
all
me right
right.
now.
Maybe you could
Yeah,
send it to me later or put me in
yes, I'll
touch
try
with
to
him.
find those notes. But yes, uh,
No, well, I find that interesting because there is a whole debate. Some harm reductionists want a lower dose, like a 3 of naloxone,
and
where
what's the argument behind that?
because it is painful for the person to be when they are revived, the more naloxone in their system, the more it puts them in like an extreme withdrawal. I can okay, fine. It seems to be true. And I've had guests on the podcast, like, a former ENT who would revive people via a
Hmm.
syringe. They were
Okay.
doing it that way. And he was attacked by someone because like when they were revived. And there are stories of that. But if I'm on the street and I am just helping a random victim, or if I'm in someone's home helping a random victim, I just want to revive them and make sure that they have enough in their system for medical professionals to help them. When you're taking 5, 6, 7 doses, but you can't get Cloxado only by prescription, so you have to have, be a paramedic, first responder, doctor, nurse. You and I, unless we have a prescription for it, you can't publicly just distribute.
I've never heard that before. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's just a thought. So, very last question. Where you have a trainer, but where do you keep naloxone? Do you keep it
Uh,
in your car? Do you carry it with you?
I carry. Well, in the summer months, I keep it in my office, and if I have to go out, like for example, if I'm going to an area that I know there's a high incidence of
Mm-hmm.
people who use drugs, I'll take it with me because, as you know, it's like it gets really hot in the car here in Southern California.
Sure.
So, but I'll keep it in my glove compartment. I don't always keep it with me, but if I know if I'm in an area that I know there's a high incident, I'll take it in my car. I usually keep it here in my office with me. I'll have a good stash. Before
Good.
Hikma was sold, I was you know got donations from them actually. Um,
Wonderful.
I got donations from them, and so when we gave presentations, not at the high schools or junior high schools, we would never gave it out. Um, but when we were giving like a parent, because we also gave seminars to parents, for example, or when we were
Right.
partnered with counties like San Diego County would give a lot of seminars, or to the Hispanic communities. Well, gave a lot of seminars to the Hispanic communities. Um, we would give out naloxone to them too as soon as we train them. But we still have a good stash of it, But we keep it here in the office. And Steve Filson has a lot as well. Uh, so yeah, we keep it here in the office. Yeah, but now that we're emergent, I don't know
Yes.
what's going to happen with them. I don't know if we're going to continue working with them or not. So I don't know what's going to happen.
Well,
Yeah,
Emergent, please call Void.
we'll see. We'll see if they want to continue working, but will happen. We'll see what
Where,
happens.
where should people follow you?
They can find me on Facebook at Stop. You can find me on Instagram. I don't even have my social media handles right now offhand. I'm sorry, I'm an old fogey. But you
That's
can
all
find me at
right.
stopthevoid.org. Stopthevoid.org. It's both in English and Spanish. All you got to do is click on the little Mexican flag on the corner, and then everything turns into Spanish. The documentary there is there as well. Very soon we'll be launching our formal curriculum. It is absolutely free. All they have to do is just sign up for it. We just want to know who's going to use it. If is it an advocate? Is it a teacher? Is it a parent? It's going to be absolutely free. All we ask is that you don't watermark the documentary with your own logo on it. We've had people try to do that before and raise money for
Mhm.
their own needs on that documentary. We don't want that, so please don't do that. Anyways, you can use the documentary. You can use our curriculum. There's quizzes. There's tests. What else? You can find me on Facebook and on Instagram. And I'm very widely accessible. And if you want us to come to your schools and give presentations, please reach out to us. Absolutely free. We have our benefactors that donate to us so we can do this. We don't take a salary. We have our own businesses, but we also we take donations, of course, and those donations allow us to travel across the country and give these presentations. We don't charge schools to give these presentations, so please just reach out to us, and we'd be more than willing to come out and help you in any way we can. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. I'll get all your handles and put them in our newsletter that will accompany this episode.
Thank you so much, Erin. Thank you for having me on.
You're
I truly
welcome.
appreciate you.